Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rebecca Adehill Show. I am so excited to be back here on a Sunday. Generally speaking, I sit down and record a podcast episode on a Monday, but I am experiencing a lot of growth and momentum at the moment, and I really like to leverage that. So we decided to come in on a Sunday and have a full day just immersing ourselves in the energy and in the momentum that is taking place at the moment, because I really like to leverage when I experience a lot of growth and a lot of momentum. That is definitely a time where you get to amplify all of the things that you are moving through to make them even better. And the conversation I want to have with you today, number one, so many of my clients are having some incredible results at the moment. And I want to share that magic with you. I want to share some of the expansion that is taking place for my clients at the moment. But specifically, what I want to share with you today is how one of my private clients landed her first ever coaching client, which was a $15,000 coaching package as her first ever client. Mind you, with only 300 followers on Instagram. And I think this is a conversation a lot of people need to hear, because if you believe that you need a lot of followers, or if you believe that you need to wait to charge $15,000 for a coaching package, I want to debunk that for you and really remind you that you get to decide where you want to set your standard. So I want to take you through that journey. And she is the most incredible human. We had never worked together in the past, and she reached out to me via Instagram and inquired about private mentoring. She paid me in full, a full body yes, boom, she moved. We have never worked together. We had never worked together in the past. Only a few messages back and forth on Instagram, a few voice notes, and she paid me in full, which was a multi five-figure investment. She goes, I'm ready. I'm brand new into the coaching space, but I'm ready. Can we just take a moment for that energy to drop into someone's DMs, someone that you have never worked with before? And she knew that I was the one. And she said, let me pay you in full. Let's go. I'm ready. It was so powerful. We kickstart our journey together at the Langham. So once my private client, they sign up to work with me, I invite them up to the Gold Coast and we spend 24 hours together, completely immersing ourselves in the vision of their business. So when they leave on day one, they walk away with a strategy that we are going to implement together over the next 6 months and beyond. So that in-person immersion is months worth of coaching in 24 hours. And also, mind you, we are at the most significant, the most beautiful hotel on the Gold Coast, having beautiful dinners, ocean views, like everything about that whole experience is so luxurious. And I'm really mindful of that, especially when we do vision crafting. I want to make sure that the energy that we create from is such an expansive energy for my clients so they can really anchor into the bigness of their vision. So that is what we do for the first sort of 24 hours. So when they leave that immersion, they are ready to press go and they know exactly what they need to do to execute on that vision. And then, of course, we have ongoing calls and Telegram support. And I really like to view it as a partnership. So when people come into my private spaces, we lock arms, you and me together, and then we go on this incredible journey together. And it's really, really powerful. I get goosebumps as I'm saying this right now, because it is such a privilege to be able to walk the journey with someone who has a huge vision, and I get to be the person to guide them along the way. And I still pinch myself that I get to do that, but I know that I have some pretty cool insight and experience to share with my clients. So I'm also not surprised that they choose me to be that person for them. So her strategy was clear. We knew exactly what she had to do. So number one, what I want to share with you, get so clear on what you want. And if you have not listened to that episode where I'm breaking down exactly how I do goal setting, go and listen to that, because that is going to be the baseline. I want you to get so clear on what it is that you are wanting to achieve. Reverse engineer it so you have that clarity down to the individual tasks that are required from you to execute on that vision, okay? So now you have that clarity. So she made sure that she knew exactly what she had to focus on. And prior to this, she had never shown her face on social media, was not active on social media at all, to then having a really clear strategy online. She knew exactly who she was talking to. And this is another key point. Know who you are speaking to. What problems are you solving? And I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say this, but until it really lands for you. If your content is vanilla and you are trying to serve everybody at the moment, that will show up in a lack of conversion for you. So what you need to do is to get so clear on this one person that you are wanting to impact. You create one offer, one timeline, one transformation. And then you can have all these stepping stones along the way. So she knew exactly what that was. And I shared with her when I first started my coaching business, I only did private mentoring until I got to capacity with private mentoring. Then I launched into a group program. So I said to her, do you rather start with a group program? Do you want to do private mentoring, or do you want to do a combination of the two? And she felt really called to do private mentoring so she could sort of really give her clients personalized support and guide them along the way. And that's what we decided to do. Now, she's obviously aware of what I'm charging for my private mentoring rates because she bought it and paid for it in full. And what I think is so cool, when we decided on the investment for her private mentoring spaces, the fact that her baseline and even starting out was $15,000. The minimum what people would pay her for private mentoring. The fact that that was the beginning of her coaching journey, I think it's quite significant. This is why proximity is so important. If she would have joined another coach, and I'm sure they would have been incredible, but say they charged $10,000 for private mentoring. I am curious if she would have positioned herself and charged $15,000 for her first ever client. I actually doubt it. But because my standards were a lot higher, she felt comfortable to charge $15,000 for her first ever package. I had another client, her first ever proposal she sent out was for $25,000. And the reason, and this is what I teach inside of my programs as well, and I get really passionate about this, it's because you are so clear on the value that you give your clients. And this is why she could feel so anchored in charging $15,000, because she knew exactly what that return on investment is. She goes, if I give all that I know, if I can hold my client's hand and give her this tangible outcome, $15,000 is nothing, simply because she was so clear on that tangible outcome. So when you are positioning your pricing based off value on the transformation you bring your clients, so if the value, for instance, if I'm going to help you 10x your business, charging $50,000 for private mentoring is pretty cheap if I can help you 10x your business, correct? So I invite you to thinking about what is the return on investment that I help my clients get? What is the value of the transformation? And this is why we could position her baseline at $15,000. The second thing that we did, we got so clear on her content strategy. So once she knew exactly who she was talking to, we got so clear on her content strategy. And I want to put this into perspective. So she had about 300 followers. And every time she had 500 views on a reel or 5,000 views, that is incredible because she's getting constantly more reach than followers that she had at the time, right? So her account was constantly getting reach beyond her existing followers. So we knew that her message was landing with a lot of people. And one more follower, one more follower, and one more follower, and one inquiry, and one inquiry. And they are starting to come through simply because she focused on two things when it came to her content strategy. Number one, she focused on attraction marketing. And the second thing is authority content. Those two, she did not even worry about conversion. I said, you're just going to let that one go. Don't even think about getting a client yet. All we need to focus on is getting the reach, which is attraction marketing, and focus on authority content, which is that beautiful nurture content. So attraction will help you get reach. Authority content will help you with conversion. So we want to make sure that we blend those two. So it's like we are speaking to a wider net of sort of people. And then when we are blending that with authority content, that will then support the people who are genuinely interested in what she has to offer. Attraction content, I want you to think I am reaching a broader network of people. Authority content gives it the depth, really sets you as or positions you as the expert and as the leader. And this is why it's so important. But a lot of people, they actually avoid posting authority content because the engagement is often less compared to attraction marketing. But if you only focus on attraction marketing, you're not going to get the depth, which means that will show up in a lack in conversion. So I want you to go into your insights right now and go, well, am I focusing mostly on attraction content or authority content? And if you only focus on attraction content, like all of these beautiful inspirational posts, and you're using a lot of umbrella words, you might get a lot of reach, but you will have a lack in conversion. And if you only do authority content or nurture content, what you'll find is that you will have the same people that comment on the same post, but your account won't necessarily grow. And you kind of feel like you are speaking to the same people over and over again. The same 5 people always comment on my post, and then that kind of repeats itself. And this is why it's so important that you are focusing on those two things and blend that into the strategy. And that is what we got really, really clear on. Another thing that we doubled down on was her actual sales strategy. So looking at her whole sales process from when people first find out about her to the whole process of potentially having a sales call, or if that was inside of Instagram DMs. And what she wanted to do was to actually have a sales call. When I first started my coaching business, I also did sales calls. Right now, I don't do them because I'm comfortable and I have enough credibility that I feel like I don't, quote unquote, need to do sales calls. However, they are very effective. So she wanted to go down the path of doing sales calls. And I said, let's do it as long as we are clear on the process. And I have one rule when it comes to selling. Sell the way you like to be sold to. Sell the same way you like to be sold to. So I want to give you an example. If you like transparency when it comes to pricing, yet you are not listing your prices, I am curious why you are not doing that. So I implemented a sales process that I personally like. I like when people are direct. I like when it's very convenient for me to buy. I want to be able to access information, make my decision. I want it to be very potent and quick and fast, and off I go. And that is exactly how I sell. My approach changed over time. Simply because back maybe a couple of years ago, I would have liked a phone call with someone. Now I'm like, I don't want a phone call. I know what I want, and then just let me pay you if I want to join your world. And now I share that same sales process because that is how I like to buy. So I invite you to thinking about that. If your sales process doesn't actually align with the way you like to be sold to, I invite you to changing that, because otherwise it could potentially show up as a level of resistance because you are actually not selling based on your own preference. And I just want to give you the permission to do that. You get to sell the way you like to be sold to. Enough about that. So she wanted to do a sales call. When it comes to, and I'm going to do an entire episode on this because I love selling. I love selling and I love to understand biopsychology, what makes people pay, what makes them move. And maybe you've heard me say in the past, people move when they feel moved. However, what's really easy to do when you get on the phone to someone and you do a sales call is that you start talking about your services. That is not how we want to play the game. People love to be heard. People love to feel seen. People want to explain to you what's going on. And without me going into too much detail in this episode, what was really important as we mapped out her sales process was that we got so specific on how we would handle that call. So I gave her a sales script and a set number of questions that are so effective. So many of my clients have used them and they go, wow, I felt like I nailed it. And the reason why you do that is because when you sell, you get really good at asking really good questions so you can find out the exact reason and transformation your potential clients are looking for, and you get to speak in directly to that. So she nailed that. She absolutely nailed that. So she went into that phone call with absolute clarity, and her client paid her in full, $15,000 in full. She dropped into my DMs and told me that she had gotten her first clients, and this is 4 months into her coaching business. So we probably worked a good couple of months of getting all the back end set up and, her entire office suite. There was a fair bit that kind of went into the whole setup of her coaching business, simply because she was brand new with 300 followers on social media, did not show up consistently. So brand new. At the 4-month mark, she got her first client and she dropped into my DMs and we were celebrating together. And, I jumped back on Telegram and I was screaming on the phone. Oh my gosh, I get goosebumps. And we were just celebrating and she was so happy. She's like, Rebecca, I did it. I did it. She paid me in full. And she was so excited. And it meant so much to me because I knew how hard she had worked for it. And I think the coolest part about all of this is that she held the vision without the evidence. She led herself without the evidence. And I think that is probably the most challenging part. When you see something in your mind, but you don't yet have the evidence of what you are hoping to create. I got to be her evidence, but in a different niche, I guess. But I got to be her evidence. But for her own particular business, she did not have the evidence that she could do it. And I think it's so beautiful how mentorships play such huge part here, because I got to hold her to that vision. And we made sure that she showed up no matter what. And what she shared with me after this big celebration, she said, Rebecca, I have to share something with you. Last week, I was ready to throw the towel in. I was ready to just call it quits because she did not think that she had it in her. She goes, I've done this for 4 months and I'm trying to stay positive. And by the way, 4 months is not a long time when it comes to growing a company. I'm just going to highlight that one. It is not a long time. Sometimes it feels like a long time, especially when you don't have the evidence. But I invite you to thinking 3 to 5 to 10 years time. Then we can go, now it's time to pivot. But she'd done something for 4 months, starting brand new. But she goes, last week, I wanted to call it quits. I was ready to give it all up. Too much pressure. I can't do it. I don't know if people will pay for this. She goes, I had so many thoughts running through my head. I wanted to quit. And then there were some other things in her life that she was navigating at the same time. And when one area is kind of a bit wishy-washy, that often, impacts another area as well. And she was just feeling like, nah, I just don't know if I can do this. Maybe it's all too much. And in that moment, she decided that is not how we show up anymore. I'm willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. And she kept showing up. We're talking for another week. And she landed her first client just like that. The leadership, the faith, the resilience that was required from her in that moment, that truly made her business instead of breaking her. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because if you are up against it at the moment, or if you are holding a vision where you are yet to see the evidence, do not give up. Do not stop. Whatever it takes for as long as it takes. Show up to your vision every single day, one foot ahead of the other, and we keep on moving. And she said, I'm so glad I did not stop. I am so glad I didn't stop. Thank you for holding me to that standard. Thank you for believing in me in moments where I did not. And I said to her, it is my responsibility as your mentor to hold your vision until you are ready to birth that into the world. It is my responsibility to hold you accountable to follow through on the things you said you were going to do. And we don't stop when it gets hard. That is when we lean in. And clarity is significant in that moment, especially when the head noise is loud. She knew exactly what she had to do in the moments where she felt doubt. So when I sit down and do goal setting with my clients, I also ask them, what could possibly get in the way? What could slow you down? What could stop you? And I knew exactly what that was for her. So what we did in that moment was that we created a plan around it. So she felt really secure and knowing exactly how to play in moments where she experienced doubt, fear. Is this all too much? Can I do this? Moments of overwhelm, procrastination. She knew exactly what she had to do down to specific actions in that moment. And when she could fall back on a solid plan like that, especially when she had doubt come up and a lot of fear, and this is all too much, she knew exactly what she had to do. And she leant in and leant in and leant in. And just like that, she landed her first ever private client at $15,000. Since then, we've jumped on a call and she said to me, oh, Rebecca, I'm getting goosebumps again. Oh my goodness. She said, Rebecca, I feel unstoppable. I feel like I can do anything. I feel like I can do anything. I feel unstoppable. I feel like everything has just fallen into place. And once I got this result and once I landed this client, I feel like I can do anything. And it has just given me the permission to step more into my bigness. And she goes, not only that, I feel like I'm respecting myself more, and not because I've linked this investment to my worthiness, but simply because I deserve all of the things that is on my vision board. So not only that, she started to eat better. She started to exercise more. She started to show up to more things that makes her soul feel alive. It's actually so profound from getting this one client, and it's not even the client. It's actually about who she had to become to follow through and hold that vision before the evidence. Like that is where the power lies, not necessarily in the actual conversion. It's really about who she had to become along the way. And once she saw herself, and she goes, I'm looking back over the past 4 months, she goes, I feel like a different person. And I did not know that I was capable of doing all of these things. To now be on this call to tell you, I feel unstoppable. And she goes, creatively, there are so many things I want to do, and I show up online. I carry myself differently. I am owning who I am. I own what I do and the impact I want to make. She goes, I own it all. And that radiates. And I said, welcome to the good side. Welcome to the good side. I know how that feels. And I said, what you are feeling right now, that is your baseline. This is your new normal. This is the standard. It wasn't a once-off. This is the standard. And how this woman is since leading herself, the way she is leading herself right now and have been for the past 4 months, I am blown away. In all areas of her life, her thinking, her leadership, her self-awareness, she is so self-aware because she has become somewhat obsessed in mastering her own mind, because she saw what she was capable of doing in significant moments of doubt. And that has brought a new version of her to life And that version of her is truly going to take her places. And I wanted to share all of this with you because I know that the world is waiting for your magic. The world is waiting for your leadership, for your expertise, for your experience. The world is waiting to be guided by you. The world is waiting for you to rise. The world is waiting for you to hold the faith in your vision without the evidence. And when someone asks me, what is the true definition of success? My answer to that was, it's like the biggest homecoming, but I'm going places I've never been. And when I arrive at all of these destinations that I've never been, it feels like I've been there all along, like I belong. And I'm growing and evolving and expanding, and I'm landing all of these opportunities, and all in which are new to me, yet they feel so familiar. And I keep on growing and evolving and expanding, and I feel more passionate and more activated than ever, yet I have never done any of those things that I'm doing, yet I've never felt more at home. And I think that is exactly what my clients also saw. I hope that you have loved today's activation. I hope you are feeling activated to go and execute on all of the things that you want to do in your life, and the people that you want to serve, and the people that you want to impact, that you get to do that right now, right in this moment. You don't get to wait. You don't get to wait until you feel ready. You get to move on that now, and you get to lead yourself with the assumption that there are currently people out there who are waiting for you. Thank you so much for tuning in for another show. I feel so grateful to be back here to share my magic and my clients' magic with you. And I want you to know that I'm really proud of you. And do not give up on that vision that is in your mind. You are worthy of it. You are capable of it. And just keep on moving and do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. I will see you back here next week for another show.